Hi my loves, welcome back to my channel. I am so happy to have you guys back for the month of March for our monthly reading wrap up. So without further ado, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter video, so I hope you guys stay. But without getting too crazy, let's go ahead and get into it. So like I was saying, this month, honestly, the month of March, I feel like I was in such an insane reading slump. I still managed to read a few books, but honestly, not a lot happened in the month of March. But I will say that what I did read in the month of March was so freaking good. Honestly, I can't even tell you guys enough how freaking good this month was. All 5-star reads, of course, because come on now. Except for one book, which was an ARC read. It is out now, but it was a 4.5 and I absolutely loved it. Okay, I devoured every inch of that book. So with that being said, it is an Omega's Guide to Falling in Love. This, like I said, this was an ARC read and I loved everything about it. It's part of the Omegaverse. It is by author Hallie Grace and I absolutely loved reading this book for her. Okay, I started this thing where I'm reading at least one ARC from an indie author a month, and Hallie was my March pick, and I couldn't be happier to have read the book because honestly I absolutely loved it. It is a romance. It is also college romance, a part of the Omegaverse. And honestly, it is such a good little cozy comfort read. Like, it's so easy, it was light, it was honestly super cute. Posey, the FMC, is the sweetest little thing ever. And when it's time for her to meet her pack, oh my god, did those men deliver. Okay, they are obsessed, they are so caring for her. It was so insane to see because it was so cute that I got to see them just literally care for her in a way that was so, oh, those men, okay, they will be on their knees for that woman the entire time if they had to be. Okay, they were so obsessed with her. It was crazy the way they protected her, the way they were there for her, the way they comforted her. It was so good. And honestly, the only reason why I didn't give it a full 5-star was because I feel like something was missing, but I still, even now, I still can't pinpoint the exact thing that was missing to make it a 5-star read. But it was nonetheless such a great book. Obviously, it wasn't perfection because it was an ARC and there was gonna be, you know, spelling errors or whatever. I don't care about that. I cared about the story itself, the characters, the development. That was chef's kiss. Okay, the plot was there, the story was there. I loved every single minute of it. Like I said, it was easy, light, and honestly nothing more that I could have asked for to start my month of March. Hallie Grace, thank you for that, because honestly I absolutely loved it and I can't wait to read more of your books because heck yeah, I am obsessed. Now, after I read An Omega's Guide to Falling in Love, I was just finishing. I had obviously in February had finished Keeping 13. Now, going into March after that and starting Saving Six is when my slump began. Now, I don't want to say that it was because of Keeping 13 that I fell into a slump, but honestly, I do think that that was the reason why I kind of fell into a slump, because it was so good that I had no idea what I was getting myself into emotionally, because I had tried to stay away from any spoilers from this series and everything like that. So I was trying my best to like go on about reading this series without any prior knowledge, any background or anything like that. So the only thing I knew about this series was that it was going to be an emotional series. When I started this series, I did not know that it was going to be that emotional. Honestly, this series has wrecked me in ways I did not even know were possible. But Saving Six specifically, let me just tell you, absolute 5-star read, and I would read it again in a heartbeat. But it honestly devastated me so insane. It so insanely. Like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I started Saving Six. I knew I was gonna love Joey and Aoife so much because I loved and I was so curious about them in both Keeping and what is it? I know it's Keeping. I know it's Keeping, and then it's Binding. Like, in both of those, honestly, like, we don't get a lot of Aoife and Joey. Obviously we get more of Joey because he's involved with Shannon, but in Saving Six, getting his perspective on things and everything that he had to go through with obviously raising his brothers and sister, and also dealing with everything that was going on with his mom, trying to protect her from something she didn't want to be protected from, was kind of like, it was so heartbreaking to see. And honestly, I did not think it was gonna wreck me the way that it did, but it did. And I would do it again. For this book, I would do it again. Joey's story goes so much deeper, and I think it hits differently than Shannon's story. Of course, they're each their own character, and each character is gonna hit in a different way. But for some reason, Joey just breaks my heart. And I have not even started redeeming Six. I decided that I was going to take an emotional break from this series because honestly, this book left me feeling so broken. You guys have no idea. That I didn't know what I was going to pick up. I didn't know what I was going to read after finishing Saving Six. I felt so emotionally drained that it was insane. And I will never not recommend this book enough because it's that good. It is so deep and so good. You guys have to read it, but just know that it's very emotional. And Aoife is my absolute favorite girl. I can't even get into her either because honestly, she's so good. She's such a great FMC, like such a great character, and there's so much more to her too. Like, I can't even explain like how good of a character she is as well. Like, she's honestly Joey's saving grace. Like, she really is, even though I feel like she struggles a lot too. And you do get her perspective here, but more so on like her feelings towards Joey. But you also start to see a little bit into her life with her dad's relationship with her mom, which is a little rocky as well. A little is a kind of putting it lightly, but she it kind of starts to get into her relationship with, you know, that dynamic in her family, which I absolutely love, because I think that there is definitely so much more to her than just Joey. But Joey's the main character of this book, in my opinion. This is his story, and it's told so beautifully, but so deep and so emotionally that it's insane. Okay? Honestly, caution with this series. Literally, I would definitely read your trigger warnings on this series if you plan on reading it, but that does not take away from how good and beautiful this story is and the series in whole. I can't wait to go back and finish off this series, because literally I absolutely love every single bit of it. And again, I cannot recommend it enough, because it's just so good. An absolute 5-star read. I would never not recommend this series to anyone, because literally it's the best series I've read so far this year. It's that good. It is honestly that good. But then after my little slump there with redeeming or saving 6, I picked out of my TBR jar, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to pick a book. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to read. I was in a weird reading slump, weird reading mood. I'm a mood reader. I will say this again and again and again, because I'm literally a mood reader, and I never know what to read. I never know what I'm in the mood for, because my mood changes so randomly that sometimes I could be in the middle of a book and then I'm like in the mood for something else. And not that I don't like DNFing books, but I feel I get overwhelmed if I have multiple things going on at the same time, which at the moment I do. I have multiple things going on, and that is so overwhelming for me as a mood reader, and I feel like that is part of the problem here. But anyways, apart from that, I picked from my TBR jar, and I ended up with One Dark Window. This is a dark gothic romance fantasy, and this was an absolute 5-star read. Oh my gosh, was this a good book? Like, what the hell was in this book? This book is what I feel pushed me through the rest of the month of March, because this was so good. This was insanely good. When I picked it up, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, because it is a dark gothic romance fantasy. Now, I have not read a gothic romance fantasy before, so this was my first dark gothic fantasy, and I was intrigued by it. Of course, it's the reason why I picked it up in the first place, why I bought it, but I wasn't sure if this was what I was going to be in the mood for when I picked it out of the TBR jar. But once I got into it, it does start off a little bit slow, because of course, introductions, world building, all that. But once you really get to the heart of the story, this is so good. It's insanely good. The magic elements in this, insanely good, and so different and so unique from anything I've ever read, that I think that is why it was an absolute 5-star banger, because the element of magic in this book comes from province cards. Now, those are basically magical cards. There's old magic, it just goes so far back in the history of the magic that is in this book, that it's 10 times like better, because there's history there, you know what I mean? And it builds on that, and it just the way it expands on it is so great. Like, it's amazing. But also, what made this book really stand out to me and make it like a little bit more immersive for me as a reader was the fact that I don't want to spoil it too much, but there is a magic element that lives in the FMC's head. Let's put it that way. A voice, right? But the way that this voice communicates with Elspeth, the FMC, is intriguing and very like immersive to the reader, because genuinely it's written kind of like in riddle form, which to me was so new, and I loved it because when you go to read it and you're like, you're reading the parts that this voice has in the book, it's like you're being pulled into the book. And I loved reading it because I was like, as I was going, I was like putting the pieces together, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it was like building a puzzle within the book, and that was like amazing. That was so freaking good. Honestly, I couldn't be happier to have read it. Now, the romance in this book is a little bit different because it is not the main topic of the book, in my opinion. I think it's a little bit in the back seat, which is totally fine with me. I am not upset about it at all. That does not take away from the 5 stars that this book was, because honestly, as much as I love my romance, the story and the plot and the twists and the riddles and the history and the magic deserved to be in the front row seat, okay? Obviously the romance is always gonna hit differently, but the fact that it wasn't front row and center, like and that it was kind of like it took that back seat and it kind of let the reader immerse more into the actual story of the book, just absolute 5-star. Because when the romance did show up in those small moments, it made it all that more special, because you were like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? It was so good to see. There's the romance is also very slow burn, so I think that that's also probably the reason why it's not so front row, like it's not the main topic of the book, because it's so slow burn that it builds as it goes, and it doesn't really need to be like the main character, you know what I mean? And that was fine. Again, I'm not complaining about it because it was perfect. It made it all that more special when you do see the romance show up. And also I really enjoyed the fact that like it's short. It's short. It's a duet. I don't have the second book yet, but I am gonna be getting the second book because I have to finish this. But because of the ending literally had me freaking gagged, because I was like, bro, what? I think I missed that in the riddles. Like I think I did miss it, but I kind of had an incline as to what was gonna happen, as to who this person was in reality. But because again, the riddle talk and stuff really makes you think, but I think I missed that part, which is totally okay, because again, it just makes it more interesting, you know what I mean? I don't have to figure out the whole book, but it'd be boring if you could figure out the whole book, right? But I absolutely loved it. I could not be happier about this one. This one truly just amazing. I absolutely loved it. All of it. But that is the end of March. That was a very short month of March. Like I said, it was honestly not the craziest month, not my biggest reading stack, but they were so good. And honestly, 5 stars. I'd rather have quality over quantity at this point, and March delivered on that. So yeah, I cannot wait to see what I have for you guys this next upcoming month, because literally it's gonna be great. I already know, because I have a book that I started already that I'm gonna be counting for the month of April, and yeah, stay tuned for that, because that book is I already know it's a 5-star read, okay? Because I have not been able to put it down. Also, yeah, just stay tuned for that, because you guys are gonna love it. But anyways, that is it for this video. I'm so happy you guys joined me today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.